Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Podfathers, the best parenting podcast in the universe. It's your pal Clem here. I got Daddy Boy Chaps in the heart of Texas, Nikki the Good in the heart of HQ, and Large, that son of a bitch, down in the happiest place on earth at Disney, and Joey, that motherfucker Langone, 30,000 feet in the air, trying to connect to this podcast on the free Wi-Fi on an airplane. Guys, I'll come on. I said, don't you dare. And then we just got a text message. Hey, guys, it's not connecting. And he sends a
no shit,
screenshot.
dude. They say it when you're signing up on Wi-Fi on a plane. It won't even work for Instagram or TikTok. It's not going to do a Zoom call, Joey. Read a fucking book, you hillbilly. This is your first time flying. You think Don Draper is going to be up there in Trans-American Air? You're going to be wearing a suit and shit like this is fucking 1974 and everything's fancy up there? You're flying Spirit Airlines. You're lucky they have water, Joey. Unbelievable.
Can I get a ginger ale and, like fucking
no, you can't. You go fuck yourself, Joey.
1 gig internet? What the fuck are you doing, Langone? I told you not to come on. Now you're gonna get roasted on the podcast because of it. Joey, that's sad. I mean, he's going to a family wedding too. 3 kids.
How many megabytes a second? You're looking at kilobytes a second on a plane. You're lucky to get a tweet up.
So it's a little throwback, Podfathers, back to the I guess 2.0, right? 1.0 was with Kevin, you, and me, and then this is 2.0. So back to the 2.0. We're gonna get into some stories. We're gonna do a little thing called Parent Score today, where there's a shitload of stories where parents or just adults in general doing some reckless shit. So we're gonna give the thumbs up, thumbs down, maybe a couple of rebukes or so. We got Nikki the Good. He could be the judge as well, who can declare all this. And yeah, so we're ready to rock. Little update from the Casa de Clem. I didn't do this during the last pod. Nick added in afterwards. Our current Girl Scout cookie chart progress. We are at 1,811 cookies in 11 days sold. And
boxes.
Boxes. Just
wow, that's a lot of boxes, dude. Do you guys get a kickback?
So the Girl Scouts, I think they get like 10% of I don't know if it's 10% of everything sold or like $1 for every box sold or something like that. And last year they threw like a pizza party with it or something like that. And then maybe they took something off the dues or whatever for everyone else. So they do get a little bit back. We don't get anything. Sienna does get so for Sienna, there's like a list of prizes, right? And it's like, if you sell 10 boxes, you get a fucking eraser, right? It's
like they used to have in elementary school when you were buying like those cakes and shit, like those fucking cheesecakes that would come.
Exactly. And then, but so last year, it was, and I think this was before you hop back on, Sienna led the area, the Hudson Valley in sales. So she got like a new motorized, like a electric scooter. She got to make her own pair of Vans, which she designed herself, which are so like out of the brain of a first grader. Has like rainbows on it, a bunch of like space designs. Sick. It's incredible. And then there was like a ton of other prizes. Got to like go to a camp for a week, but we traded it in for something else because it was COVID time. She got all the prizes that were underneath pillows, lights in her room, all this stuff. And then the grand prize was AirPods.
She got like Christmas.
Yeah, she got like second Christmas is what she got out of it. And obviously a shout out to all the stoolies, all the pod fam, all the Twitter fam that bought from her. Because it's tough because Girl Scouts aren't really going door to door still. I feel like maybe by the time it's a little warmer out and the COVID hopefully it's like retreated a little more, but you don't see those Girl Scouts outside the grocery store anymore, right? Like everything's kind of
here.
Really?
Oh, they're back. Yeah. Outside
nice.
Here at grocery stores, outside of Lowe's.
Nice. So we haven't seen them
there
yet.
Get them a gunmetal crumb and walk out with some cookies too. It's a great deal.
So Sienna is just so we're ahead of last year's. I think they sold 2,300 last year I think we're a little ahead of the pace right now. But for people that don't know a Girl Scout too, or you don't have them at the grocery store, it's just an easy way to just go online, click, order some boxes. You can even donate. So a lot of people were donating.
You should have Dave tweet out that link.
I should have I think Big Cat
set the record.
That would be good. Erica, she was talking Girl Scout stuff. That's why Large had Bridget go in and they talked about some Girl Scout stuff, which was pretty cool. But yeah, Dave could definitely move some units there. And our girl Cass, she donated boxes. You could donate as well. So the poor rankings queen, she's also like a charitable person. So I can't roast her as much as she roasts me. She's a good
We were
person.
talking about that the other day. Kelsey was talking about how she wanted a box of Girl Scout cookies. And I had mentioned Girl Scout cookies for a long time were up there with like Otis Spunkmeyer muffins with me, because when you're deployed back in the day, the Girl Scouts used to have buy a box, give a box to troops.
Yep.
So you would buy one box and then they would send it over to Iraq or Afghanistan. Well, when the war first started and everybody was really caring about the troops and what was going on overseas, there was hundreds of thousands of boxes of Girl Scout cookies. So when I got to a place called Lake Bahariya, just outside of Fallujah, this little hut that I stayed in and slept in, the people before me had gotten tons and tons of the tag-along boxes. And so like my first 2 weeks when I was at Bahariya, I didn't even eat at the chow hall. I just ate fucking Girl Scout cookies. I must have put on like 15 pounds the first 2 weeks of combat because I wasn't doing anything but like getting used to the weather and shit like that and doing some training. And with my dog, getting my dog used to the Iraq environment, I was just crushing Girl Scout cookies. It was fantastic. But then I was out on Girl Scout cookies for a long time because I just ate way too many.
You were like Forrest Gump when he goes to Vietnam. He's like, I mean, this whole like Middle East ain't so bad. It's just nothing but Girl Scout cookies and hanging out and doing drills.
Exactly right. I mean, I was basically like Forrest and Bubba when I was like a little bit of barbecue shrimp gumbo, shrimp salad, shrimp Creole. Like going through, I was doing the same thing, but just with Girl Scout cookies.
You got tag-alongs, do-si-dos.
There was a time where I chopped them up, Clem. I had like this little cutting board, chopped up a bunch of the tag-alongs, put it in a bowl, covered it with milk because I hadn't had cereal in a while. And so I was making Girl Scout cookie cereal over there.
That sounds fucking good. So there you go. Go to my pin tweet, the Clem Report. You can get your Girl Scout cookies, get them sent out to you. And so I'm sure we'll get a full update from Large in terms of Disney.
Oh, we fucking better, Clem, because he started going to Buc-ee's.
Oh, that's right. He got the Buc-ee's.
He spent 300 bones there.
We've had a Glenny Balls blog on Buc-ee's. We had a Large $300 splurge and Instagram post on Buc-ee's. Frank the Tank, I think, did some sort of review at Buc-ee's. Buc-ee's is blowing up. I never heard
and
of
also
it.
Because Kate's a big Wawa person. Yesterday on ZBT's episode that just dropped this morning, we talked a little bit about Wawa versus Buc-ee's, and she even conceded that Buc-ee's is superior. But she didn't say it, but she implied it by saying they're not even in the same stratosphere. We can't even like compare them. And that's because Buc-ee's is so far superior to anything that Wawa has to offer. It's not even a gas station. It's a legit way of life.
Yeah, it's like a fucking mini mall from what I can gather. I've never been inside.
Oh, you've never been?
I've never been. I've seen it. My brother brought me back the little nuggets, the little golden nuggets of something. I don't know what they're called.
Beaver nuggets.
Yeah, they are incredible. Which beaver nuggets, you might think something completely different. Not so fast, my friend. We're talking
Buc-ee's got moved in 4 miles from my house.
That's
for a while until they built one in Tennessee. It was the biggest one in the world.
Oh shit. So we'll get the full review from Large. This is all we've gotten so far from him. His exact words were, let me see if I can pull it up here on the pod here.
Something like Disney World is the fucking worst.
I don't care to elaborate at this time, but Disney is fucking awful. And I'll tell you, as someone stuck up here in the north, even though it's like a balmy 50 degrees today, just warms my heart a little bit knowing that Large is down there having his vacation. It kind of sucks.
But I'm surprised, right? Like it's his kids are older. He should be out of the Disney super terrible.
Yeah. Like when everyone way back when you did the whole like live you did like a live vlog of your Disney trip with your kids. You were hiding in the closet from them at one point or in the bathroom. It was a whole thing. And now the big man, Bridget, she's a breeze. He loves his turkey legs, so I don't know, but we'll see it. But like there is something about Large where you could just see he's like the guy with like the big scowl on his face as he has his Mickey Mouse hat on, and he's just being delightful, and he's just being like a little curmudgeon. So
he's probably being a little bitch about being allergic to pineapple and Dole Whips.
Yeah, that's probably exactly what's going on. He's probably not happy. He also like. Let's be honest. Our boy Large is probably like thinking like, this is my life in like 10 years. I'm going to be living in Florida. You know, he's getting old now, Chapsy. And he's kind of like, am I ready for Portnoy? Yeah, exactly. Now there's another reality show. Him and Glenny Balls, and then Mr. Portnoy is the grandfather. I think we have a potential hit on our hands here. But I had to tap. All you said is, Clem, remind me of the dumpster story. And remind me to talk about the dumpster story. And I don't know where the fuck we're going on this one.
First of all, Clem, let me ask you a question. How do you feel about illegal dumping?
something I always want to do, never have the balls to do it. There's just a lot of stuff that I would like to do though, in terms of.
So when I first moved into this house, I moved from a different area of town, and that area of out of town was technically outside the city limits of San Antonio. I still had a San Antonio address, but didn't live in the actual principality of San Antonio. Because of that, we had private garbage people. Like it was Tiger Sanitation that we had, and the trash folks, they would come and they would pick up anything. And because my wife and I both work from home, we have a shit ton of boxes that come. Like people send Barstool, like content creators, a bunch of shit. She has a nonprofit that she runs, so she gets a bunch of stuff. So we constantly have just a million cardboard boxes from Amazon and all over the place, different businesses and all kinds of shit. Well, we would always be able to throw all of our boxes out in the recycling or near the trash can on the curb of our house and never had an issue. Now that we live inside the city limits, it's basically like living under fucking communist rule here, where you can only have one trash can, and everything has to be completely broken down. The boxes have to be completely flat. It's an abomination to the Lord to require people to do this. Just throw it in. I mean, you're not going to throw it into the baler or the crusher anyway. Like all of it's going to go away.
It goes to the same place.
What difference does it make if it's flat or not? Just fucking throw it in there. Well, we ordered a new couch. Wifey ordered a new couch for her office. We had a new couch, a new printer, and another big box. I don't remember what it was, but it was another big box that it came. And so I had to get rid of these 3 boxes. I would never, ever with normal recycling be able to get rid of it. It would take me months to get rid of that amount because I'd have to cut it up into like little pieces and dump it in there. So I was like, you know what? Fuck it. I'm going to load all this cardboard into the back of my truck. It's 3 huge boxes. I'm going to find a construction dumpster and just put it in there, because the actual landfill all the way across town, they're closed on Sunday. It's a whole pain in the ass. I don't have time to go during the week. So I was like, I'll just drive around and find a construction dumpster and put it in. I found a place that had 3 huge construction dumpsters. I mean, enormous, completely empty, except for like a couple little pallets or whatever. So I pull in there, I throw it in there. By the way,
we're dealing with Texas. Everything's bigger in Texas. I'm thinking construction dumpster. Then I have to go 10x because it's fucking Texas we're dealing with. So these must be monsters right here.
They're like the length of semi trucks, legitimate, like huge dumpsters that I would put in there. I just put my 3 in there. It doesn't even make a blip on these dumpsters' radar that these boxes are in there. Well, I get home. This is at like 8 o'clock in the morning on Sunday. 6 o'clock rolls around. My wife gets a text with the pictures of the boxes in the dumpster and is like, please call. And my normal, like my inclination is to be like, I'm not fucking calling that person. They're going to try to get me to come pick up this trash. But then I zoom in. They have my address. They have my name. Like everything's on there. I don't know if this building has cameras or whatever, but you could, I mean, my license plate, all this. I'm dead to rights. I'm the guy that dumped this shit. And I knew what I was doing. I knew that it was wrong, but I was like, I don't really care. It's a construction company. What difference does it make? They're going to throw some bricks on there. It'll smash it all down. It's not going to cost them any money to get rid of this. But I call back. I go against my better judgment and I text back and I'm like, hey, my wife got a text message. What can I do for you? Is there a problem with the trash that we put in the dumpster? Like kind of reiterating, this is a fucking dumpster, you psychos. Yes. Like what's the issue here? Well, she's like, we have a big construction project going on. The project manager is going to get pissed. I don't want to tell him that it's here. And I said, listen, I understand that you guys are paying and this is a service. How about because it would cost me probably $50 to drive it to the recycling center. So I was like, how about I just pay you like $50? I'll Venmo you. And she's like, I don't think he's going to take it. And I was like, fine. I don't want you to get in trouble with your boss. I'll go first thing in the morning. Cause it was like 7 o'clock at this point, 7:30 at night. It was already dark. I was like, in the morning, I'll go soon. First thing in the morning. I wake up at like 7:15. I go over there. It's like 2 seconds from my house. I go over there. All the construction people are already there, Clem. Like they're
it's fucking construction hours. Yeah.
The super is there. Like everybody. I have to pull my truck into their construction site, back up. The dumpster is still completely fucking empty. I have to go inside it, put it in there, and the guys are like standing out there looking at me. So I'm like, what's up, fellas? How we doing? Sorry about the trouble. Like I just felt so incredibly awkward, Clem. Like what would you have done? First of all, would you do you think putting that stuff into a dumpster is a big deal? Like a random dumpster?
No, I feel like dumpsters, that's a community dumpster. If you're a dumpster, it's a community dumpster. All dumpsters, not just ones
All
that are
dumpsters
massive.
are public dumpsters.
Yes,
I
they're public
completely agree.
dumpsters. Exactly. And this is the fucked up thing is I would have done the same thing you did. I would have tried to get in there nice and early so that I get off this lady's radar ASAP. Hopefully don't run into any of the workers. But then I would forget that, if I'm ever up early and I'm out, the only people you see out are the people that are working, construction jobs and stuff like that. That's the hours. And there's nothing that makes you feel smaller as some fucking little fancy boy blogger that sits behind his computer and critiques the entire world. And I'll get like my little iced coffee and they're all drinking hot coffee. And they're like,
oh yeah, it'd be 110 degrees outside. They're like, can you warm that up in the microwave?
Exactly. So I imagine they were probably drinking their hot coffees, looking at you and being like, look at this fucking dumpster thief right here, essentially.
Oh, look at him in his fancy Tundra. And we got
I was gonna say, what kind of car are we dealing with here too? Yeah, that's the other thing. What kind of truck are we dealing? What color is it's not the yellow, right?
Oh, it's a copper. Because I traded in a yellow one. Yeah.
Yellow, you might have gotten just knocked out.
I probably would have got beat up. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. For like doing that to that truck deserves a better color than that. Like, what are you doing with that? So okay, so that's good. So then you just loaded it up and just like meekly walked away with your tail between your legs.
Yeah, because honestly, I love putting stuff in dumpsters. I love putting stuff in there. I like getting stuff out. I mean, when I used to live in base housing, it was one of my favorite pastimes. When people were moving, I would go into the dumpster and see what toys they were getting rid of.
There's a place right by my wife when she goes to the doctor. There's right next to my favorite Chinese place. So I drove her once and I was like, where am I going to eat? Picnic table right in the middle of a nice field. I was like, oh, perfect, I can eat. And I'm like, where am I going to throw this trash when I'm done? Just dumpster, just sitting there. And I've gone back to that exact thing without my wife going to the doctor. I eat at that nice table, sun drenched, and then I walk to the dumpster and throw everything out. It's absolutely perfect. Dumpsters are public. Every dumpster is public in my mind, except for this one, apparently.
I promise you, Clem, if I ever get a dumpster, I'm going to call you and be like, Clem, I got a dumpster. Like whatever you need. Any of my neighbors, if I have a dumpster, if I already have it, it's your dumpster. Like they don't have to ask. Yeah. Like this is our dumpster now. Like the Curb Your Enthusiasm episode where somebody's going through and Larry throws his apple into the trash can on the side of the road. What does it affect you? Like, that's why if it doesn't affect you, maybe if it does, I don't know. I'm not in construction. Maybe it does. Maybe you calculate. Maybe you have an actual dumpster calculator guy or lady that you can go in and talk to and be like, hey, we have all this stuff. How many cubic feet of dumpster do we need? And then if I cause them to not be able to complete their project, I would feel awful about it. I don't think that's the case here.
Were you hoping you were going to get off the hook by like a, hey, Chapsy, like a little, like maybe a Barstool fan who was in the midst and be like, don't worry about Chaps. Like,
oh, definitely not. The construction crews here, absolutely not. Not until we actually start dropping Viva La Stool. I don't think that will, I don't think that'll happen.
Fair point. That might mean something completely different to those workers other than what it means for us. That's a fair point. All right. So what'd you just had to go across town, go to the place and pay the money yourself?
Oh, no, I found a different dumpster. Dump that shit in another dumpster.
I love it. And you know what? No problem.
You know where I went? I went to McDonald's. They ain't gonna say shit. McDonald's worker ain't gonna do the investigation there. They're just like, whatever, dude.
McDonald's is the perfect example of like just public utility. You need a bathroom, McDonald's. You need a dumpster, McDonald's. Anything.
And if you're cleaning out your car and you're not doing it at a gas station and throwing it in their trash can, you're an idiot.
Yep, exactly. You just kind of load it up, throw it in the little red and yellow trash cans outside. Oh man. And like in my mind, I'm like, me and McDonald's, I've given you enough money over the years. If I don't, I'm gonna probably buy at least a 4-piece nuggets, if not more. Let's be honest here.
You're already in the parking lot. You might as well.
Yeah, you guys already are in the green for me for the rest of your
spicy
lives.
Sprite.
So that was talking dumpsters to start off the day. I didn't see that coming. We can't talk about this with Large. He would thumb his nose at us so quickly.
Oh yeah, I bet he's never even seen a dumpster.
He's a Brooklyn boy though, so I'm sure he had some dumpster stuff back in the day, but not to this level.
That's a different life. That's like me being a preacher now.
Exactly. Different times. We'll jump into some parent score here. We got a whole bunch of stories. So this first one was an Am I the Asshole from Reddit. And it was a 25-year-old male and his wife, who's 24, were going from the US to Japan for a month. And when they bought tickets, they thought they'd be sitting next to each other. He had the option to upgrade to business class with the miles. So he did. His wife, however, stayed in coach. it's an overnight flight and they're going to be sleeping, so he didn't think it would matter. And he told her
what?
that's where he goes. That's how he starts things off.
I mean, that's even worse.
He says she got upset. She thinks I chose business class over her. Correct. And I said she's jealous in a joking way, which what are you doing throwing jokes around at this point, right? And he said I could switch my seat back to an she said to the airline could switch his seat back. He said, hell no, I'm not going to miss my opportunity to sit in business class. In my eyes, just 12-hour flight. So they're going on a vacation with each other. And this is how he decides to start things off, upgrading to business class, leaving his wife back in economy. Now, you think this is a large move right here. Those are your exact moves, right?
Yeah, I think so. Overall, this guy's a fucking idiot. Like, your creature comforts for 12 hours, you're never going to hear the end of this for the rest of your life, pal. Like, the rest of your natural life, you're going to hear about this. You cannot make this move. Your best case scenario is you work out a deal. You start doing a little bit of bargaining. You say, look, how about I give you the first 9 hours there? Like, you get the first 9 hours in business and I'll get the last 3. I feel like you have to make some kind of arrangement there, or you give your wife the entire time. You can't take it for yourself. Just absolutely no shot. You can take it. You can't.
You got it. Yeah. If anything, you take the lumps back in the poor people seats and you let the wife, especially
maybe get an extra sexual favor if you do that.
Exactly.
We're at business. If maybe when we get there, we christen the old hotel with an old fashioned blow jibber.
So it's sorry,
I got a Roman swipe in my pocket.
So it'll last extra long and everyone's happy in that case.
12-hour
flight. 12-hour flight, 12 minutes of pleasure. I think it kind of adds up in the end, right? Everyone's happy. This guy in the end said, I'm an asshole. He did the update. I'm buying her upgrade to sit next to me in business class and offered to switch. And he said they were his miles. That's why he couldn't upgrade her seat.
Not true. Just flat out a lie. You can apply those miles to anything you want to. You can apply those miles to fucking Starbucks.
It's like the airline's going to say, what's marriage? You have two people that are under the same name and are, under the same law. And
also just tell the flight attendant, hey, this is my seat, but my wife is back there. We're going to switch. I got bumped up to business and I'd like her to have it. What flight attendant in the world is going to be like, actually, no, sir, you may not switch with your wife? That's not going to happen. They're going to be like, oh yeah, sure.
In the social media era where you're just going to have people complain about anything anyway, why would you want to do that? We have people just dumping garbage in any spots they want.
Yeah,
once
exactly,
you're fucking 30,000 feet in the sky.
I'd flush the cardboard straight down an airplane toilet too, without thinking twice about it.
Now, I will say this. There are certain relationships where they're like large, where the wife is probably like, just let the husband sit in his business class because she knows that 12-hour flight is going to ruin the next month of her life on vacation because he's going to be grumpy from day one. I mean, this guy is unhappy in Disneyland right now, right? So what is he going to be like in Japan as he's the biggest man in Japan by far? He can't fit into any of the fucking doorways, the cars, the beds. You're going to get this. You almost have to give like a guy like large business class just to make it. Let's be honest, this is probably large. Because he's 25-year-old, half that, what is that? 50 years, 50-year-old. He's basically outing himself on the am I the asshole, even though I don't know if he knows what Reddit is.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that's right. Like, if you are somebody that's going to be like on one of the shows that I've been watching on TLC and you're married to a skinny, you should probably get the business class because you could use the extra room. So large being like 6'4", 6'5" would make a little more sense since Annie's like 5'5" or whatever. Yeah. She's tiny. Like, going back there, that would make more sense. But still, it's an international flight. I feel like that argument carries a lot more weight when you're talking about a 3 or 4 hour flight. Like, oh, it's not going to be that bad. 12-hour flight sucks for everybody. Like, no matter where you're sitting, it just sucks.
And just doing it without even asking. Like, it's not like, oh, by the way, hon, I'm thinking about going to business class, and she shoots you down. It's like, no, I booked our seats. I'm, 10A and you're 37G.
Like Kevin McAllister's parents are sitting up front and the rest of the poor family is scooching to the back to hang out with fucking Fuller while he's got a bladder full of Pepsi.
That is an Uncle Frank move right here. Like, this guy is an Uncle Frank. And Uncle Frank is? We can say it on the podcast, a cunt. He's a fucking, because it's
Mhm.
international flight. Cunt doesn't carry as much overseas. Next story up. This was just a quick quote. The whole thing. My last year would play with my son. Wherever Bronny is at, that's where I want to be. I would do whatever it takes to play with my son for 1 year. It's not about money at that point. LeBron motherfucking James. What do you think about this? LeBron saying he's going to play his last season with his son.
I can't stand it when nearly billionaires say it's not about money. Nothing has been about money in a long time for LeBron James. Of course, it's not about money. We're not in the same. You're a damn near billionaire. I think he is a billionaire. Didn't he sign a lifetime $1 billion contract with Nike?
Did
like
he?
over the course of his life, it's $1 billion. Like, because he has like a lifetime contract with Nike.
Let's see. LeBron James net worth 500 million, according to.
But I think that's because he hasn't realized that Nike money yet. I think he legit signed a lifetime $1 billion contract with Nike.
He's earned more than $1 billion in his career, with nearly 400 million salary and 600 million off the corporate. Yeah, I don't know. But yeah, he has a lifetime contract worth a whopping $1 billion. Whopping gets a lot of love in these net worths, which it should. It's
I mean, when you're talking about billion, that is whopping. Like, I watched this video the other day where somebody was trying to explain how much money $1 billion really is. It's hard to really wrap your mind around what $1 billion would look like. Like, it for a normal person of how much money that actually is. You can't really even fathom like the amount of money. Because think about it. The biggest house in your town, Clem, like you could go to the biggest, most expensive house. Do that right now while I'm talking about. Go on your Zillow app and see what the most expensive house for sale in your neighborhood is. I mean, not in your neighborhood, in your city. I bet it maybe $10 million, something like that. You could buy the most expensive house in your town. And it doesn't even dent it. You build back that money that you lost on the most expensive town in like 3 months in interest.
Well,
Nick, I got it. So 432 Park Ave, if you have $169 million lying around, you can now purchase the most expensive listing in all of Manhattan.
Yeah, Manhattan might be a little bit different. You're going to put a little dent in it there. But like normal, above the wall, non-New York property. I mean, I think the most expensive house in San Antonio is like 25 million.
And for the people on YouTube, I'm going to have Nick upload the TikTok. You ever see the one where the guy does the grain of rice of how much like 100,000 is,
right?
And then 1 million and then 1 billion. And it's just fucking pile of rice. And then 122 billion, which is what Bezos was worth at the time. He's probably double that now. Just to kind of give everyone a heads up. So yeah, it's not been about money for LeBron James in a very long time. The other thing is, I think everyone, like the idiots like me who are Knicks fans or any basketball fans, are like, all right, I guess let's just burn our first round pick, even if it's number 1. I'm Bronny James just to get LeBron. Well, if Bronny James is still a few years away, LeBron at that point, I mean, he has to break down at some point, right? So do you really want to just be giving it all up for Bronny, who, I don't know, is he I don't know if he's a first round guy, a second round, if he's even like going to be in the league, So,
and everybody talks about these jersey sales. They talked about it all the time with Tebow going to Jacksonville and shit like that. Jersey sales are revenue share. So it doesn't matter if he signs with the Kings. The Kings don't get more money. They get the same amount of money unless it's sold in their stadium. That's the only way that you get the same amount of money, that stadium or that team site. Everything else, it goes to a pool of money. So that doesn't even make any difference. I do think having some exposure for a team like the Sacramento Kings or the Orlando Magic, if you can get the last year of LeBron highlights playing with his son, get some attention on your organization that you haven't had in a long time, maybe you do that. Like, but that's the only way. Otherwise, like if you're a contending team, why would you want an old LeBron James that is not going to be the LeBron James that we know?
Yep. Cosign. All right. This one, it was a late edition here. This one, I saw a couple people tweeting about it. There were these identical twin brothers, Josh and Jeremy. They married identical twin sisters, Brittany and Brianna. Both couples gave birth to baby boys at the same time, which I don't even know if it's fucking possible outside of a C-section. Although technically cousins, the boys are genetically brothers. It gets more weird. Both families live together in the same house. Rebuked. I'm rebuking every single person, from the babies to the dads to the moms, everyone. Hardcore rebuke, blanket rebuke.
I agree. I feel like this is designed just to be a TLC show.
Yes.
And Cassie actually said that there was a TLC show about this, so I'm going to have to watch it. Like there's a documentary about it there. But one of the guys that I follow on Twitter that's like a San Antonio radio dude, he posted a tweet about this situation that blew my damn mind. see if you can even figure out what this means, Clem, because he said that he had a family relationship that was even more convoluted than this one. He says, they ain't got nothing on me. My dad's wife is the mother of my adopted sister, whose dad is the son of my mother's ex-husband. Like, I feel like that's one of those riddles where you're like,
Yeah,
a boy gets in a car crash and the doctor
can't operate on him.
He's my son. Like, it's that type of what the hell. I'll read it again. My dad's wife is the mother of my adopted sisters, whose dad is the son of my mother's ex-husband. To me, that's like a third grade math problem that I'll never figure out. Like, this is one of those ones that your kids brings you and like, Dad, can you, and you be on like doing like Nate, like when he's trying to figure out the whiteboard conspiracy thing, like you'd be up on there. Like, how does this, you need Will Hunting on the case for that.
I don't even know, like, which ones do you give kisses on the cheek to when you see them at holidays? Which ones do you act a little nicer to? We're like, and how do you decide Christmas gifts for these people either, right? Who gets the big gifts? Who gets just like the gift card? Oh my God. Yeah, no bueno. But yeah, when that becomes a TLC show, trust me, Podfathers will have boots on the ground and eyes on the TV for Daddy Boy Chaps. They'll have it taken care of, especially if these kids decide to grow, 1,000 pounds. Then there'll be nothing stopping Chaps from watching that show. Next up, a French dad desperate to block his kids from spending too much time on social media went off the rails when he unintentionally cut out the entire town's Messages internet service, which I guess is a French company. He faces up to 6 months in prison and a hefty fine for disconnecting the town's internet access with a scrambler. He decided to do that between the hours of midnight and 3 a.m. when his children would be addicted to scrolling social media. He didn't realize that when he did that, it would take everything down. And he's now, again, 6 months in prison, about $34,000 worth of fines he's facing, and then like another $500 or whatever. Chaps, you took this guy's side.
I did take this guy's side because I feel like this is a classic case of mom telling dad to figure this out, him trying the best of his ability. Look, we have to start. There was another case that I was looking at where this.
Are you just like dabbling in cases now? You're dabbling.
Yeah, I've been reading. So this little boy, he brings a gun that's smaller than like about a pellet gun size to school because he heard that there was zombies that were going to be, there's going to be a zombie apocalypse, and he wanted to take the gun out. The grandfather that the kid got the gun from, he didn't hand it to him, but the kid took it from the house and it wasn't locked away. So they're charging the grandfather with a felony. I feel like intention is an important component of crimes. This dude didn't intend to take out half the city's fucking internet. He just wants his kid to get rest. That's being a good dad. He wants his wife to shut the fuck up because he's tired of hearing about it. And he wants his kids to be rested because he's tired of having to yell at them to eat their fish sticks at night. Like, this is a dad that's going through it. Clem, you're going to be in this spot. I would say you got maybe 3 years left until your primary job as a father is really internet minding. Like, how much screen time do you got? What are you doing this? It's so annoying. If you can figure out a jammer to put on it where you can block everything and you're not technically savvy, good on you. I don't care if the internet goes out from 10 to or midnight to 3 a.m. because in the words of our friend and longtime stoolie Herm Edwards, what you're doing after midnight, it ain't no good. You got no business doing it if it's after midnight. So stay the fuck offline. Yeah,
especially with kids. You never know what those little fuckers are doing. I will. So like already I have AJ who has, seamlessly become a Nintendo addict because he plays with he watches his sister. He'll sneak on. He'll just start taking this, just pick the Switch up, start playing on his own. I caught him the other day. He was under the blanket and he was playing Switch and just giggling to himself because he thought he was playing Mario Brothers. He calls it Mario Boys, which is just, it's like so adorable when he says, I want to play Mario Boys. Yeah, I'm like, you got me, you little fucking cute bastard. But Sienna, like, she knows all the tricks where she locks the door or goes to the part of the house where we don't go to, and she's on her little iPad or whatever, and she knows we'll just forget about her because we're trying to actually do stuff now that we have peace and quiet in the house. So I do hear what this guy's saying, especially at midnight to 3 a.m. I don't even know what Sienna's going to be like as an 11-year-old. I fear the thought of having to keep up with her technologically. So I will say this: he doesn't deserve the fine. Definitely doesn't deserve 6 months in prison. However,
6 months in jail is outrageous.
I had, shocker, another power outage last Friday, and that was the first That was so it was Friday, what was that, like the 18th ish, right around there. And then now they're on break for the week. So I've had the kids at home. So I was solo with the
What
kids.
is not break for? Spring break?
It's fucking February break. I don't know
what the fuck is February break? Is that a thing?
Let me tell you what it is. It's a bunch of fucking bullshit of what it is. It's just a reason to get the fucking schools out. I don't know why.
Has that always been a thing there?
I guess so. I guess they had it when I was a kid. I don't remember, but I suppose I feel like if it's your one chance to go to Florida, if you don't want to go on spring break, because that's what everyone with a fucking life is doing here.
And are we talking one full week off of school?
A full week off from. That's what I'm guessing the Langones are doing right now. That's why they're flying out to a wedding, because they can just fucking take it off. Joe doesn't have to work. Doesn't have to.
Bunch of Yankees. Unbelievable.
Yeah. So I had the kids home alone, and there was no power at the school. The power out of the school, so I had the kids by myself, and then the lights went off for about 15, 20 minutes, no power or anything like that. And then the internet wasn't starting back up. I'll tell you, that fucking 20 minutes was the longest 20 minutes of my life. So this guy, this Francois, whatever the fuck his name is, doesn't deserve 6 months, doesn't deserve $34,000. But if there's any parent that had a young kid that was awake between the hours of midnight and 3 a.m. and they couldn't do whatever they needed to do on the internet to get that kid to stop crying, barehanded fight. No weapons, nothing like that. But you're allowed to kick the shit out of the guy. 5-minute timer. We set the timer, and then it's done with. No. Yeah, we'll say 5-minute timer. 5-minute timer. Is that a fair compromise?
There's also a litany of angsty teens that had to go to bed, and they're like, "Oh, the internet's out again. I guess I'll just go to bed," and weren't staying up till 2:00 in the morning, so they didn't have big pimply attitudes.
Well, I'm also thinking of like the, lonely bloggers who are up and they're trying to get something out at the time, get some aggression out, and they can't do that either through their imaginations or, everyone's TV is
Greeny be going through
streaming.
It, not be able to post those West Coast NBA games.
Yeah, Greeny can also go to France too and fight the guy.
Update on how the Kings are doing without Buddy Hyde.
Next one here. Jesus, just reading it fucks me up. A twisted Louisiana ex-teacher admitted to giving her students cupcakes laced with her husband's sperm. She's been sentenced to 41 years in prison. Cynthia Perkins was sentenced on Friday after pleading guilty to second-degree rape, production of child pornography, and conspiracy of mingling harmful substances in Livingston. She has no possibility of parole for 40 years.
For how many?
40. So 40 of the 41 years, no chance of parole. 70. She has faced 72 charges of various sex crimes, 68 which were dropped in her plea agreement. As part of the deal, she agreed to testify against her husband, who was a former sheriff's deputy, who was facing 150 criminal charges, also 6 crimes, according to the indictment. This story went like viral. Like you saw it on all the different news outlets, and they hammer the cupcakes laced with semen. It's a fucked up, like you dig into this story just a little bit. I mean, we're dealing with 72, 150, big fucking numbers. I mean, a hardcore rebuke for everyone involved in this fucking nonsense right here. 40 in Louisiana. I mean, you could speak about this. You live closer than I do to Louisiana. I feel like a lot of shit goes down there. To get 40 years without parole, you have to do some fucking shit to get 40
and go into a place, the state prisons in Louisiana, buddy. Those spots, you are going to get fucking beat up. Angola. Have you ever watched a documentary on Angola where like Kevin Gates and Boozy Badass has spent prison time? It's insane, man. Like they do shit like modern day slavery. Like they will take you out and you have to pick cotton and shit in fields like for hours on end, and like with cops on horsebacks, like ready to discipline you if you don't do it. Like it is legitimately crazy. Not enough for these people. Not enough. I mean, 40 years is a long time, but what you did, like how goes through your mind, like you're not part of society. Like there are certain crimes that you can commit where I feel like you can be brought back into the fold. Most, I would say. There's certain elements of being just a super deviant where there is no recovery. Like if you feed fucking kids cupcakes, there's no recovery for your level of depravity.
I can't even watch the scene in American Pie where Stifler drinks the pale ale, right? When Rookie of the Year busts in the cup, you know what I'm talking about? And I couldn't I can't even watch that fictional scene with fictional cum going into it. I can't even imagine doing that to a real life human.
I don't imagine anybody even coming in your mouth, Cliff.
God damn it, Chapsy, you son of a bitch. I didn't see that coming when we started up this episode. I guess I just fucking Now I gave a little bit of a sequel there. I did not see that coming. When I saw 40 years, I thought she got 40 years for the cupcakes. I'm like, yeah, she fucking deserved it. But she has all these other charges, which I'm sure played a role in it. Fuck these people. Let them burn.
I'm not a death penalty guy. Death penalty. I think that, honestly, too, death penalty, if you're given over 20 years, I think you should be able to have the option of the death penalty. Like, because if it was like, you're going to prison for 20 years, like if you told me now, you're going to prison for 20 years. I'm almost 40. I'd be 60 years old when I got out. 20 years in prison would wreck my body, like just completely. I'd rather die. Like, no doubt about it. Because you get out and you have what? Your 20 years left or whatever. And you don't have any money. You're not going to be able to get a good job because you're a sex offender. Fucking kill me, dude. No way.
20 minutes in jail. I wouldn't last, let alone 20 years, let alone 40 without the no chance of parole. There's not even hope. You don't even have hope at that point. You're just fucking getting
time
shit
off,
out
a
of
good behavior.
Then the last one we had here, this one was actually an interesting idea. Woman and her husband decided to split up and live separately in New York City. They lived together for 6.5 years, and after that time they kind of had like the way to marriage, weigh them both down, way to life, both working. I think she said that she wasn't making as much money as he was as the breadwinner, but then she felt like she had to kind of do the more traditional wife roles, which kind of got her dragging. So what they did, they both moved to their own apartments, and I guess this happened before COVID-19, but it kind of just helped them. Did they go back together during COVID-19? No, but they have their date nights. I'm sorry. So they have their date nights where they'll meet up, they, do their thing, and then they just go back to their own apartments. Now you have to be able to afford 2 New York City apartments, obviously. But I got to tell you, chaps, I fucking love this idea.
I hate it.
You hate it?
I hate it. I would not want to do that. To me, if I ever got to the point where I want to be separate from my wife all the time, like a majority of the time, like let's say 5 out of 6 nights a week, 5 out of 7 nights a week. If I ever got to that point where I wanted to be separate from her that often, I would get a divorce. I think people are way too averse for the divorce. Like Annalise and I always say, we are married because we like each other. We like being around each other. If I got to the point where I walked upstairs and I hated to see her, or if I didn't want to talk to her, I'm fucking out, dude. This is the only life that I have. Like, I'm not doing that.
Yeah. I don't know, man. I just love the whole thing of this. So my kids went away for the night last night to their grandparents. So the wife and I, we had our first night out, like just having dinner at our favorite restaurant. It was so delightful. It was just so nice to have it. I guess what I shouldn't say is
get your kids a different apartment.
My kids need a different apartment. There's the answer. Okay. So I take it back.
That's what we all work towards.
That's where we're all fighting.
You have kids so you don't be lonely when you're old. And then you're like, oh, hell yeah, it's getting close. But it's also scary because me and Large are at the precipice of our kids being out and in college and stuff like that. Like, it is scary because those kids as being like dumbass little kids. And I'm like, how are you going to pay a power bill? Like, you can't even buy yourself a slushie. Like, how are you going to pay rent?
I just think like when I was a kid and I was, doing dumb shit, or I'm drunk, stumbling in a bad neighborhood, right, in college and shit like that. And I'm like, fuck, I can't imagine like my 2 little pieces of my heart doing things. AJ will be fine. AJ's he is the danger. He's the one who knocks, right? So I'm not worried about it. It's my sweet little Sienna.
He is the man in the arena.
So I guess there's our answer right there. Long story short, get an apartment for your kids and then an apartment for yourself. You also have to, I guess, get someone to watch the kids if they're young.
And Content Corner, by the way, I've been watching The Gilded Age on HBO Max, and you got to be careful having separate bedrooms because one day you might not realize it's going to happen, but one of your housemaids might show up in your husband's bedroom with her titty and pussy out and trying to get her to lick on all of that stuff, and you don't want to. And next thing you know, the whole servants' quarters is just in disarray.
What show is that called again? Just in case.
The Gilded Age.
The Gilded Age. Okay, good to know. So HBO Max. By the way, did you know HBO Max is for HBO and Cinemax combined?
What?
I always thought it was like I saw this tweet. Someone's like, I thought it was always like HBO to the max. There's so much HBO here. And it's like, no, it's HBO and Cinemax. And I knew that they watch
the Red Shoes Diaries on there.
Exactly. I always knew they were under the same corporate umbrella. I had no idea that's how they named the stupid fucking app. So I was like, oh, that makes a little more sense now. You can watch your softcore porn and you can watch your old Sopranos episodes. It's beautiful.
I need to ask you a HBO Max specific question. And this one will go for you too, Nick. Is the HBO Max purple the most beautiful color you've ever seen in your life?
Yes.
It's
sets
fucking
the
gorgeous.
mood. It sets the mood, is what I'll say.
Right? It's gorgeous though. Like if that color just shows up, you're like, God damn.
I will only
That's beautiful.
watch HBO Max with like that color in my brain, if that makes sense. Like it's
Mm-hmm.
like by association.
It's the sleepy tide tea of app colors.
We went through like 100 HBO Go, HBO Now. We went through all these apps and they were all the same thing and they all looked the same, black and white. And we came out on the other side looking with that magnificent purple.
It's just gorgeous.
Oh, it's like lavender. I just want to rub it against my face.
It might even be lilac, honestly.
It might. However, that like warm feeling goes away when it asks me to log in for the 10th time this week. And I'm like,
I never have to log in. I've logged in the first time and that's it.
I don't know what I'm doing wrong. Maybe I have my Chromecast is what I use to Google TV, but it always asks me to log back in. I'm like, you motherfucker.
I've never had to.
I've
only logged in once.
Oh, okay. Well, that's why
I will cancel a subscription service if they make me log in. I have my TV down here because I don't hardly watch TV in my office that much. So if I go to like watch Amazon Prime, always have to sign in. And I'm like, fuck it. I'll just cancel this shit. I'm not signing in. I have to do a special character. Get out of here on a remote.
This day and age on a remote. All right. So we'll see you guys next week. I'm patiently waiting for Large's angry review of Disney. I'm going to bathe.
I can't wait to do a deep dive into Bucky's too.
Yeah, we'll do a deep dive into Bucky's. We'll get back to the mailbag. We have some good mailbags waiting for next week as well. So as always, everyone stay safe and stay sane, and we'll see you next week.